In Luo City, specifically on the pedestrian street, the date was March 2nd, 2030, where the streets were bustling with life and billboards overlapped in a noisy urban scene. Inside the office of Yang Fan Management Company, the atmosphere was charged with tension as the gang leader sat coldly lighting his cigarette, asking the young man sitting before him if he truly understood what it meant to borrow such a huge sum as 5 million. This man was Zhang Yang, the leader of the Ocean Gang and the city's underground banker, and he explained in a sharp tone that his interest rates were extremely exorbitant. The young man, Chen, sat nervously, sweat pouring down his face, surrounded by burly gang members, answering in a shaky voice that he agreed to whatever interest rate the leader demanded. Zhang Yang exploited the situation, imposing his harsh conditions with an interest rate of up to 40%. He would lend him 5 million to be repaid as 7 million within 6 months, demanding collateral equal to the value. Chen hurried to present the deed to his commercial property, asking the leader to take a look at it. Zhang Yang examined the papers with a malicious gaze, downplaying the property's value by citing the building's age and market stagnation, estimating its price at only 3 or 4 million, while telling himself that easy prey had just entered the slaughterhouse. With a decisive tone, he refused to lend the 5 million with only the house as collateral, threatening to cancel the deal. Here, Chen feigned extreme panic, begging for help and lowering his request to 4 million, claiming he met a fortune teller who assured him his gambling luck was unbelievable and that he would recoup all his losses. Zhang Yang relaxed in his seat, realizing he was facing a reckless gambler, so he offered him only 3.5 million as a final offer, confident the young man would accept. Indeed, Chen showed an exaggerated, hysterical joy and agreed immediately, thanking the leader and promising to repay soon. The leader took advantage of this impulsiveness to tighten the noose further, demanding repayment of 4.9 million within just 3 months, or else he would seize the house, and ordered him to write a debt IOU so the money could be transferred within 3 days. Chen agreed without hesitation, but he placed one condition before signing. 10 minutes later, Chen walked out of the office, accompanied by a guard, bidding farewell to the leader with a smile, as if the deal had been in his favor. As soon as a notification arrived on his phone indicating the deposit of 3,500,000 yuan into his account, his features changed completely, and that naive smile turned into a demonic, mocking sneer, calling the leader a fool, for who would care about repaying loans when the end of the world was coming in just 1 month? Chen recalled memories of his past life, when a terrifying natural disaster struck the planet, causing radical changes in the ecosystem. He remembered how intense solar radiation caused global temperatures to rise to 50 degrees Celsius, and how humanity entered a scorching hell that lasted for 30 days, destroying civilization as they knew it. Meanwhile, inside the office, Zhang Yang was laughing mockingly at the stupidity of the young man who accepted the interest hike just to get money quickly, asserting that gamblers didn't deserve to own homes. His assistant tried to warn him, pointing out that the house was worth more than 4 million, and that the young man accepting 3.5 million might be a trap. But Zhang Yang dismissed his concerns, explaining that he had seen many gambling addicts sell their families to play, and that he didn't intend to stop at just the house when the due date arrived. He would sell the young man's organs as well. In the street, Chen was walking while looking at his phone, marveling at the existence of kind people who gave him money just for waiving an interest hike, wondering sarcastically if the leader really thought he could scam him. A cunning smile appeared on his face as he told himself that he was a man who had borrowed from every loan shark in Luo City in a single day, so how could he fear interest? He looked at his phone with confidence, certain that once he held the money in his hand, no one should dream of getting it back. His memory returned to scenes of destruction, where the earth dried up, plants withered, creatures turned into monsters, the system collapsed, and people killed each other for scraps of resources. He fully realized that whoever controlled supplies possessed absolute wealth, and he was determined to become the king of this end times. He remembered how billionaires and celebrities turned into beggars pleading for a drop of water or a piece of sausage, otherwise facing a miserable death in the streets. Chen stood tall amidst the city lights, realizing that his rebirth had granted him enough time before the disaster struck, which was sufficient time to arrange his plans precisely. Suddenly, a noise interrupted his train of thought, causing him to turn and see 2 girls talking about a luxury brand of ice cream, which caught his attention amidst his planning for the dark future. Chen bitterly remembered his past life, where he didn't even dare buy a piece of luxury ice cream for himself, while he bought it repeatedly for that woman named Liu Wanqing. Feeding her such a luxury type of ice cream, in his view now, was a greater waste than feeding it to a dog. The more he thought about it, the more his feelings of pain and anger grew, so he decided to treat himself today and make up for what he had missed. Chen approached the display counter and loudly ordered 10 pieces of every type, available in the store, sparking the astonishment of the girls standing behind him. Whispers began to rise about his ability to afford this huge order, despite their admiration for his handsome appearance as he barked his orders. The employee looked at him with shock and suspicion, wondering if he was serious, especially since his appearance didn't suggest wealth, reminding him that this store sold the Ice Cream Assassin, luxury brands, not just ordinary ice cream. She explained in a warning tone that ordering 10 pieces of each item would cost him more than 20,000 yuan just to confirm his resolve. At that moment, a red-haired woman intervened in a sarcastic manner, criticizing his simple clothes, and announced defiantly that she would kneel to him and bow immediately if he possessed the price of what he ordered. Chen turned to her with a sharp look and a confident smile, asking if she really meant what she said. The woman was flustered but tried to maintain her arrogance, refusing the idea of bowing to him and doubting his status allowed him to act so forcefully. But Chen replied with a terrifying coldness, telling her that he had given her a way out, but she insisted on the abyss, and now no one would stop her from fulfilling her bet. Chen took out his phone and displayed his bank account balance, which exceeded 20 million yuan, in front of the terrified employee, asking her to wrap everything, which prompted her to run immediately to summon the manager. The manager, Fei, arrived hurriedly and with utmost respect, only for Chen to order him to calculate the price of every piece of ice cream in the store, announcing his desire to buy the entire stock to close the shop early. The manager began calculating, unable to believe his luck, which had turned into a fortune, as these expensive products rarely sold in such quantities. The manager told Chen that the display items were worth 70,000, and with the inventory, the total value reached 1 million yuan. Chen didn't find the amount large, rather he saw it as an opportunity to stockpile luxury food to hide in his home and enjoy when the disaster struck. He transferred 300,000 as a down payment and gave the manager his address to send the goods later, which the manager received with immense gratitude. Chen then turned to the girls in the store, inviting them to choose whatever ice cream they liked on his tab. Shouts of joy and praise for Chen Xiao's generosity and handsomeness rose from the girls. But he directed his gaze sharply toward the arrogant woman, excluding her from his offer, and reminding her that he was still waiting for her to fulfill her bet of kneeling. Under the weight of humiliation, the woman found no escape but to drop to her knees while crying, as Chen stood over her coldly. He asked her, with disdain, why she pretended to be strong if she couldn't bear the consequences. Later at sunset, Chen sat on a park bench, enjoying the taste of the luxury ice cream, confirming its high quality to himself. Suddenly, he used his special ability to open a rift in the void. A black square appeared before him representing his dimensional storage, which had the ability to preserve things in their current state forever, ensuring him fresh ice cream at any time. He threw the bag of purchases into the void, thinking happily that he no longer needed to care about celebrities or models, as just thinking about his ability gave him a wonderful feeling. He looked at his hand in wonder, for he had believed that superpowers only appeared after disasters struck, and he hadn't expected his ability to return with him after his rebirth. He realized that this ability would be his greatest trump card from now on. Chen began planning his next steps, from building a safe house and preparing cold storage to gathering weapons and energy sources, realizing he had much to do. While he was immersed in his thoughts, his phone rang, and the caller was someone saved as Little Fairy, which aroused his surprise. Chen Xiao looked at his phone with extreme annoyance when he saw the caller's name. It was Liu Wan King, the girl he considered an omen of bad luck for him. His memory went back to when she appeared in his life like a saving angel after his parents died, so he naively thought she was the ray of light that would dispel the darkness of his days. But the truth was shocking. She was greedy for the meager inheritance his parents left, conditioning him to buy a luxury apartment in the city center and pay a hefty dowry to marry her. She was like a black hole swallowing his savings non-stop, even boldly suggesting he sell his family's old house under the pretext that it was dilapidated. Chen remembered the pain of that moment when she wanted to displace him from his ancestors' legacy just to fulfill her material desires. It didn't stop there. In his previous life, and during the days of the disaster, she betrayed him in cold blood and offered him as raw material to one of the bosses. After he had sacrificed everything to protect her, she sold him like livestock in search of a stronger protector. He ended up dead and dismembered, while she looked at him with disgust, fearing she might be forced to eat him, without an ounce of mercy. Chen returned to reality with a demonic look on his face, deciding to settle old scores since she had thrown herself in his path. He answered the phone, her voice reaching him from inside a luxury hotel room, asking her coyly why she was calling. She claimed in a sad voice that she was with her friends and had lost her cherished gold necklace, which made her feel heartbroken. Chen, smiled maliciously, feigning consolation, and offering to buy a new necklace, and even shocked her with the suggestion of buying 10 necklaces so she could wear whatever she liked. Liu was stunned by his sudden generosity, so he lied to her that he had made a huge fortune from cryptocurrency and wanted to spoil her. Although she suspected it might be a scam, he tempted her by talking about a massive upcoming plan from which he would make a lot. He asked her for a simple favor, to be a witness for a loan he would get to increase his capital, in exchange for giving her 5% of the amount as a fee. Meanwhile, an elderly man came out of the bathroom complaining about the length of her call. She asked him to wait a little with a flirtatious tone, while her mind worked quickly. She calculated coldly. She got little from servicing this old man all night, while signing a paper with Chen would grant her 50,000, and since he was a coward in her eyes, he wouldn't dare deceive her. The call ended, and Chen's true face, full of menace, appeared, waiting impatiently for the moment of revenge against her. The scene shifted to another location, where Chen stood in front of a residential building accompanied by an engineer, demanding the place be transformed into an impregnable fortress within 1 month. He began listing impossible demands, such as bulletproof composite glass, exterior walls reinforced with military concrete, solar panels covering the entire roof, independent generators, and a military-grade air filtration system. He added a self-sustaining ecosystem and blast-proof doors with biometric and mechanical locks, making the engineer sweat from the magnitude of the requests. His goal was clear, a fully integrated combat shelter that supported life. The engineer thought Chen was just a doomsday prepper or influenced by sci-fi movies. But Chen interrupted him sharply, reminding him of his title as Master of Defense and provoking his professional pride when he hesitated about the budget. The engineer looked at him as an eccentric rich person with more money than sense, seeing a golden opportunity in him. Chen settled the matter by transferring 1 million yuan as an immediate down payment, leaving the engineer free to determine the remaining amount upon completion. The engineer almost flew with joy, believing he had found a prize catch that would achieve financial freedom for him in one stroke. Chen strictly emphasized the quality of materials, and the two men shook hands to seal the deal. At that moment, true intentions collided like beasts of fire and ice. The engineer planned to drain this wealthy young man's money, while Chen planned never to pay the final payment, because the end of the world would precede the due date and no one would find him then. After Chen Xiao ensured his impregnable fortress was secured, he began thinking about the next step, providing supplies of medicine, food, and daily necessities, considering these matters the easy part of his plan. But what truly occupied his mind was the fact that the real danger in the apocalypse was not the disaster itself, but the darkness of the human soul when law and order collapsed. And while he could get melee weapons from any store, obtaining firearms to ensure lethal force was the hardest challenge. He grabbed his phone and started searching through secret channels and direct sources, placing safety as a top priority in his search. He contacted a seller inquiring about the purchasing method, and the reply came setting an appointment at 8 p.m. with an address to be sent later, emphasizing not to be late. Chen arrived at the designated place at night, but he was surprised by the seller's choice of a crowded residential area as the meeting point. Suddenly, the quiet of the night was broken by a girl running in extreme panic, chased by a group of men screaming at her with foul language and ordering her to stop. The men cornered the girl at a street corner, accusing her of betrayal in their territory and threatening her with death. The girl took shelter behind Chen Xiao, trembling, begging him to save her. When Chen's eyes fell on the girl's face, he was shocked, for he recognized her immediately. It was Li Yuyu, and he wondered to himself what a girl like her was doing in a place like this. While the men were threatening her, and she was screaming, Chen watched the situation in astonishment. He looked at her closely to confirm her identity. Remembering middle school days when Li Yuyu was the genius student and the goddess looked up to by countless boys, radiating light and beauty, Chen returned to reality at the sight of one of the men pulling her hair violently, demanding money. Another man intervened with a malicious smile, suggesting to his leader that he make her pay with her body if she didn't have money. Here, Chen could not remain silent, so he intervened with a sharp look and ordered them to let her go. The men turned to him with disdain, while Li Yuyu looked at him with hope. One of the thugs wasted no time and attacked Chen with an angry accent, trying to beat and crush him for interfering in what didn't concern him. But Chen dodged the attack with unexpected skill and agility. He grabbed the attacker's hand and twisted it with force that made the man scream in pain. Then, with a lightning-fast movement, he knocked him to the ground with a powerful blow. At that moment, a strange system screen appeared before Chen announcing the detection of intense negative emotions of fear, pain, and anger. Chen stood amidst an aura of energy, surprised by the activation of the negative emotion. Harvest system. something he didn't possess in his previous life. The situation didn't give him time to think, as the gang leader grabbed Lee Yu, threatening to kill her if Chen moved a single step. But suddenly another person intervened, throwing a brick from the ground with amazing speed and accuracy to hit the leader directly in the face and knock him down. That person appeared mocking them, scolding them for a group of grown men bullying a lone girl. The men flew into a rage and rushed towards them with clubs and sticks, screaming with the intent to kill. But Chen faced them coldly, countering their attacks with super speed. While the other person managed to take down one of the gang members, he focused his gaze sharply on his opponent, dealing him a powerful punch that knocked him to the ground. While the other person performed an acrobatic move, jumping in the air and delivering a powerful kick to one, while the others fell, completely controlling the battle. Chen Xiao stood over the bodies of the aggressors who had fallen to the ground, stomping on one of them forcefully. With a cold and firm look, he ordered them to leave his sight immediately. At that moment, blue system screens appeared before him announcing the activation of the negative emotion harvest feature as points of fear, panic, pain, despair, and humiliation flowed from his opponents, leading to unlocking a new expansion for his void storage for the first time, while the thugs fled screaming in terror. Chen smiled to himself, realizing that the idea of harvesting negative emotions from others was truly interesting. Li Yu turned to him, still in shock, and thanked him gratefully for saving her, surprised to meet him in this place. Chen asked her with concern if she was hurt, then took out a shirt and placed it on her shoulders to warm her, advising her to be careful because he had to leave to take care of some matters. Suddenly, the other person, whose name was Mo Tsang, interrupted them, praising Chen's heroic style in saving the girl. Chen introduced himself and revealed that he was the person who arranged the meeting. Mo Tsang was surprised that Chen was the buyer, considering the coincidence that brought them together a stroke of fate. The seller tried to use a strange secret code for introductions, but Chen looked at him coldly and called him a fool. The system immediately detected emotions of astonishment and confusion from the seller, so Chen rectified the situation with a loud laugh, claiming it was just a joke to lighten the mood. Then he said the password they had agreed upon. Mo Tsang believed it and invited him to follow him enthusiastically. They arrived at an isolated house, where the seller displayed a box containing a Russian-made pistol, praising its durability and power, while warning at the same time about the scarcity of ammunition and the need to use it wisely. Chen inspected the weapon with skill and professionalism, which impressed the seller, who considered him a true expert and decided to give him a special friendship price. Mo Tsang noticed that all of Chen's actions indicated he was a person with experience in this field. Chen exploited the situation intelligently, and with a cunning look, he began demanding a silencer, a warranty card, and an extra box of ammunition as a free gift. Mo Tsang was shocked by these requests, thinking to himself in astonishment that he was already giving him a friendship price. The seller flew into a rage, explaining that this was a black market where goods were sold at double the price, not a home appliance store to ask for warranties and gifts. With the increasing anger of the seller and his shock feeding Chen's system with more negative emotion points, Chen decided to end the act and paid the money immediately, announcing to himself that he had finally obtained everything he needed from supplies and weapons, and only one thing remained. The scene shifted to a luxury hotel under the moonlight, where Liu Wanqing was waiting impatiently. She reproached Chen with artificial coquettishness for his delay and asked him suspiciously if his plan was risk-free, so he reassured her with sweet words, while inside he was mocking her and her greed. Liu looked at him with disdain in secret, believing he was just a naive follower who sold his blood to buy her a bag, and that he was too cowardly to deceive her. In the loan office, the leader praised her beautiful signature, while she focused only on the money. She signed as a guarantor, thinking naively that it was just a formality, and that the debt would fall on Chen's shoulders as soon as the ink dried. But the looks of the leader and his men betrayed their malicious intentions towards her in case of default, imagining how she would pay the price later. She was confident in her beauty and ability to manipulate, unaware of the hell awaiting her. As soon as she signed, Chen thanked her inwardly, as her greed was what enabled him to pay the final installment for his safe house. Chen returned to his home site, where the engineer confirmed that the place had become a fortress with military standards, thermally insulated and resistant to explosions and even nuclear attacks. Chen paid the engineer generously and thanked him for the solid quality of work. In his safe house, while sitting on the sofa, breaking news blared about unprecedented solar activity and extreme heat waves that would hit the planet. The news warned of temperatures that would shatter records, while Chen polished his pistol with a white cloth. He directed his gaze towards the window with a sharp look full of determination, whispering to himself that the decisive moment had arrived. As the sky was dyed blood red and with flames, announcing that the end had finally arrived,